As you can see, this side, see how it's all shiny? No longer has a bearing race in it. This side, however, where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? I don't know how good you're going to be able to see it. That's where I beat the lip up on it, and I did that intentionally to give me something to look at so I can show you guys the easy way to get bearing races out. Now, that other one, I'll show you. I'm going to put it in it. It came out relatively easy, but this one is not going to because it's so tore up. A lot of the metal's worn away, so there's really nothing to bite on. And I don't have a chisel long enough to drive through it, or I would. And even doing it that way, you risk messing up where the facing where the race sits. So I want to show you all a garage hack with a welder, how to weld it out. I don't know how many of y'all are into like street outlaws, street racing. I, as a kid, did some street racing. I helped my sister's old man build a race car when I was about 11, and I was hooked. Did some street racing up until I was about 22, 23-ish. Got rid of the fast cars and because I had kids and stuff after that. Actually, I got a couple more. I did get a couple more street cars. They weren't race cars though. They were streetable, fast cars. And I took my boys street racing once. It was funny. He's trying to get me race everybody going down the street down the interstate after that. But anywho, if you watch Street Outlaws and shit like that, there's a dude named James owns the car Reaper. He lost not only the Reaper, but lost his new car too. The double stack trailer caught on fire a couple days ago and burned everything up. So probably $500,000 worth of cars and trailer gone. Probably $1 million if you add the tools and extra parts into it. I feel bad for the dude, and no, just because you have like, that's not something that's easy to come back from. And I know like a lot of people don't understand it, but like even with mechanical items, you put that time, that blood, and that sweat into things, even building something, and you become connected to it almost like you do one of your kids. I mean, like your cars become your children after you put so much work into them. I mean, you have more time spent with a race car than you have raising your children. I know that's weird, but it is. So we want to get the Banshee put back together. Probably take some video of it, try to edit it together. I'll put getting the other race out and this race out as garage hacks. What I want to talk about, there's a reason why I started. Oh yeah, King DeWine, of course, is now bringing up. I think it's Senate Bill 22. I could be wrong about that, but it's the red flag law / not a red flag law, sort of a red flag law, not really a red flag law, but if you're law abiding, it won't affect you. The term law abiding citizen, why does people say that? Because it sounds the best to them. I mean, they're ignorant. That phrase actually came, or that term, whatever you want to call it, came from the Canadians. Their rights are dictated by their laws, not the other way around like ours. Our laws are supposed to be dictated by our rights. Not that way there. So they have to be a law-abiding citizen in order to have the right. Whether or not you follow laws has nothing to do with your rights. One that has nothing to do with the other. Nothing. The guy that kills somebody has the right to keep and bear arms. He doesn't have the right to kill somebody, but he still has the right to keep and bear arms. And I know that's hard for people to grasp onto because they've been fed criminal, and all this other shit for their whole entire lives. But if you are a law-abiding citizen, you are a bootlicker. That's what that says. One's a euphemism for the other. I see law-abiding citizen and I'm like, bootlicker. That's what that means. So quit using that stupid ass term. What's another one? Oh, my Second Amendment rights. You don't have Second Amendment rights. The Second Amendment has really nothing to do with you. It has to do with restricting government. Hey, government, we have the right to keep and bear arms, and we are putting this restriction on you. I hear, like, I hate people on guns and gadgets all the time, but he's the one that's always patriot this, patriotic that, and like he is a constitutionalist, and he really doesn't know much about the Constitution. If you know about it, he really doesn't know that much about it. And even when you bring these facts up to him and show him these facts like anybody else, he bails on the conversation. So quit saying Second Amendment rights. I'm sick of hearing that shit too. you have the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with it, but you see, tricky them. If they can convince enough people that it does, and that's what happens through generations. If I said my Second Amendment rights every day in front of my kids, they would believe my rights only exist because of the Second Amendment. So when they take the Second Amendment away, and they will, it's a matter of time. We know they're going after it. If we don't start shooting tyrants in the face at some point, it's going to happen. But then my kid will believe that once the Second Amendment is gone, when they take it, that he no longer has that right. See how that works? That's where we're at now. That's why people believe what they do now, because they've been told the same shit for so long that's wrong. They just believe it. They just accept it as truth. A lie that's been told, a million times becomes truth. I don't mean to rant, but I'm so sick of having the same argument with people. I have the same argument with people over and over again. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'm going to bring this up. I had somebody email me last week, and I want to try to give you the quick version of it, which there's not really one. But he emailed me, and when he did, we were buddies, boy. We were frickin' buddies. We could have been sitting in the same living room drinking a beer. He told me I should look him up when I come to, if I'm ever going his way. But he had said something about my disdain for the military. I'm not sure that's really what I would call it, because it's not actually for the military. It's for those that follow the orders and not morals. Anyway, so I just kind of sent him an email back and said, yeah, it's not really disdain, but here's my issue with it. If somebody would kick a door in Afghanistan because they're told to, they would do it here too. And they're violating their oath by simply being in Afghanistan. So he messaged me back. And now he ups up that, he antes up, or he doubles down, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, doubles down. I'm not a poker player. So, and he goes on to tell me that he is the NCO in his state militia. His state militia is a constitutional militia. It's in the state constitution. They are funded by the state. And also, he has completely withdrawn his consent. Think about all that I just said, and then what he said. That was his words. So after saying all that, he said, and I've completely withdrawn my consent. So I emailed him back, and I simply said, I'm sorry, that was yours. I hope you all didn't see that. I emailed him back. He also said that he started a mag. It's got about 25 people in a town of 550. And I'm like, well, that's great. But during this conversation, because I'd already mentioned something about order followers that, leave people out, for example, state militias aren't militias. There's not a militia in the country today that is a real constitutional militia. I can prove it. Show me one that is arresting tyrants. I'd wait, but I'd run out of date on my phone. Show me one that allows everyone in that is arresting tyrants. There's not one. What they are is there are guys that like to shoot guns and like to say that they're in a militia because it's like saying you're in the Crips to them. Like you ever heard somebody say, like, yeah, what up, blood? Because they think they're a Crip or a blood, but they're not really, but they think it's cool, so they want to be. Same thing. They join for the same reasons. So I go on to tell him just kind of my thoughts on it. Like, I'm not bashing him. I'm trying to make him open his eyes. You are an NCO and a state militia. The state militia violates people's rights, I'll get into that in just a second, by having an application process. Think there was an application process in 1775? Doubtful. The guy came over the hill and they said, hey, you want to shoot redcoats in the face? He said, yeah. They said, okay, you're in. That's all it took. Now, if you're in a state-funded militia like this guy, that has completely withdrawn his consent, mind you, but he has to weed out the problems, or else they couldn't exist. That was also something he said. This people are the ones paying for the militia, state-funded, right? But you're saying that person can't join the militia because of they may be a problem, so you weed them out. That is worse than welfare. At least welfare, if you needed it, you could go fucking get it. So I explain all this to him. He tells me that in his mag. You have to be able to walk into a store and buy a firearm. You can't be in his mag. I'm like, well, first of all, whether or not somebody's breaking the law really has nothing to do with you. Even if you're training with them, you're training them, they have a firearm, you're not a cop. They're supposed to know what they can do and what they can't do. And they're going to be the one to face the repercussions for their actions, not you. So here is my issue with what you're doing. Here's my issue with you. And I was actually really nice about it. I could have been a complete asshole about it. And I have a way of coming across that probably sounds complete asshole-ish. Asshole-ish. And I don't mean to be. I'm just so sick of having the same conversations with people. This is probably I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. At least the 10th person I've had the same conversation with through email. I should almost just start copying and pasting and sending an email so I don't have to write the things. So by the end of this, with each email I was sent more information as to why I should be giving this person a pat on the back. You know, this allows him to train people. He saved his neighbor's house from burning down and killing 2 people. I'm like, well, that's awesome, dude. I kept a hotel from burning down and probably killing hundreds of people, and then I saved a dude in the same hotel the same week that was shot. I'm not in a militia that violates people's rights. I don't aid in violating people's rights. And as a male, you have a right to be in the militia. You have a duty to it. Like, it is your duty as an individual in this country. So, and like I said, he just kept with every email was more pat me on the back, pat me on the back, pat me on the back. And I was thinking this. I even sent the emails to somebody I trust. Like, I trust their opinion, because they'll be the first to say, hey, Nick, you're just being a dickhead. Quit it. So I sent them these emails. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? So anyway, the last email he sent me, and this was, I believe this was after I sent, it was after I sent the emails to everybody else, or to my buddy, not everybody else, my buddy. And I said, hey, what do you think about this? And he said, yeah, dude's fucked up. You just don't see it. He sent me an email back saying that something about me spinning in circles, pat myself on the back, and why my family's in disarray or some crazy shit. Now, so he went from being my buddy, my drinking buddy, like, stop by, you roll through town, you come see me, we're going to kick it. You can stay at my place. So now we're enemies. For no other reason than I tried to make him see the light. Make him see that what he was doing was wrong. You are no better than the ones you claim to be against. He even said that he would kick in the doors of people who tried to kill him and his buddies. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean you go kick in that one door? Because he said this after I mentioned Afghanistan. Or does that mean you're going to do like they did in Ramadi and say, hey, everybody get out of town because we're about to tear some shit up. If you're here, you're a terrorist, and we're going to treat you that way. So what does that mean exactly? Which he never answered me. But I asked him in the email, I sent him one email, second or third one. I said, I know I'm jumping around here. I'm sorry. It's how my brain works. But I said, what exactly are you doing these things for? Why do you have a mag? Why are you in the militia? His answer was to defend family, town, state, and country. So I asked, from what? What are you defending them from? It's not the state. It's not the police, because the police I know the police are violating somebody's rights in your town every day, maybe even in your family, hell. Definitely in the state, sure as hell in the country. So it's not the police. You aid the state in weeding out the problem people. And who decides who the problem is? Do you decide? Does the state decide? How do you decide? Until somebody breaks a law, a legitimate law, like they violate somebody's rights, or they destroy somebody's property, or harm a person, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not breaking a law. But he never answered. And I asked him, I think 7 times total, to explain to me who he's defending his family, town, state, and country from. My point of telling you all this is that justification is a huge problem in this country today. I would venture to say it is the biggest problem, because we all justify everything that we do. I go really far out of my way to not justify my I try not to justify. I will go as far to say I don't justify things that I do without being able to back them up factually. I support freedom. I default to freedom every time, even when it hurts me. Think about some of the shit I've said about the kid, the young man that killed my son. Like, do you think that it helps me or that benefits me to say the shit I say? Fuck no, it doesn't. But I say it because it's how it is. If you don't default to freedom every time, you're going to justify why it's okay to violate this person's rights. And when you do that, you leave the door open for your rights to be violated. Because I think this person is too dangerous to own a firearm. There's somebody standing behind me pointing the finger at me saying that I'm too dangerous. And that leads to complete slavery. That is where it leads to. And that's where we're headed to. I just had another conversation with somebody about voting. They said if you don't vote, you have no say in who governs you. I was like, I thought to myself, got him. This was after I said, voting is a form of consent. Don't consent. It's like, well, if you don't vote, you don't have a say in who's voting you or who's governing you. I'm like, who did you vote for? Not that it matters. I'm just curious. He said, Trump. I said, yeah, you had a real say in that one, didn't you, buddy? Huh? Which, this is the first time they've been openly obvious that there was some election shit going on. Like, it doesn't matter, people. It doesn't. I mean, it hasn't for a long time. They're selected. I'm going to post this video, and then I'm going to post another video about my theory behind Trump and why he came into office. And then when I get done with welding this out, I'm welding a race out of another piece of steel. You'll figure it out if you don't already know. You'll see. I'll show you. But have a good night, guys. Take care.